Hey guys, my name is Johnny and we're all about creating unique ear styling that helps you stay trendy while expressing your personal style. In today's video, we're gonna be styling an ear and I'm gonna show you guys the behind the scenes of how I create the ear for our everyday live. If you guys didn't know, we have a live broadcast every single day at 12 o'clock on all social media platforms where we pretty much display all the jewelry on a different styled ear presented by yours truly, and my brother pretty much goes throughout the whole process, explaining the jewelry, the style and whatnot, and also does a giveaway. So first thing first is safety. I want to make sure I put on my gloves so I don't cross-contaminate between the client and myself. Just kidding. Sadly, I only have extra small gloves with me today, so I'm gonna have to just deal with it. And my hands are gonna suffocate, but I'm doing it because I love styling ears and this is very fun for me. I get to do it every single day. Sometimes I love it so much, I do it twice a day, so I don't have to do it the next day. Pretty much what I have here is a bunch of like pre-selected jewelry. I went with like an opal silver theme because I feel like the colors of opal with white and silver look really good on the black skin tone. So I pre-selected a bunch of different jewelry. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna go about it. Obviously certain pieces are gonna go in very particular places because it's meant for that. But for the most part, I think all the pieces are, I'm just gonna pretty much go with it. Imagine like you're watching Bob Ross put together a painting. It's like me putting together an ear. So first thing I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be working with this industrial piece. This is a threadless industrial piece. All connections are all threadless. So the ball attachments are separate, the middle attachments separate. But what we do is we obviously get them all separately and we customize it and put it together ourselves and we ship it to you pre-made so you don't have to worry about doing that. When worrying about a threadless piece, obviously you want to make sure you remove both ends and then slide them accordingly. I don't have additional tools like a piercer would to properly put this in here, so you might see me like savagely stab the ear. But just remember, it's a rubber ear, it doesn't have any feelings. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to be doing what we can to make sure it's as perfect as possible. Even though it is a artificial ear, I do pierce it as accurately as possible because the more accurately you pierce it, the nicer it looks. That's kind of what I want to do. Usually after you poke the client with a needle, you put this jewelry in, you put this tool in called the taper, or we use a pin taper in the case of threadless jewelry. And what we do is we transition using that piece of jewelry just so the jewelry doesn't like scratch your ear, or we don't slip, or we don't have any like problems with the actual piercing. So here we go, piercing this as well. Sometimes if I'm in a hurry or I know the jewelry is sharp enough, I won't even use a needle. I'll just go directly jewelry into the model itself. But I think some of these are not as sharp, so I feel like it's very necessary to use a needle. Plus more accurate and it goes in a lot smoother. This ear I've never, I guess, pierced before, so it's the first time we're doing that. So I want to make sure all the holes are clean cut. We've had ears in the past that were like super pierced up and you can literally see how many holes are in the ear. So that's the first one. We have an industrial bar with an opal bezel centerpiece and then the two claw opal balls on the sides. Just to start it off, I usually start with, if I see an ear and I feel like it's proper for the industrial, I'll put that in first and I'll let the style of the industrial pretty much dictate the rest of the style, because obviously if there's like a silver and there's opal and then there's a certain style to it, like for example, this is like ball ends, I'm gonna be thinking of jewelry pieces that kind of resemble that or look good with that, or even like look nothing like it, just so I can create a theme or an idea in my mind as I'm going through this. So next thing I'm gonna use is, we're gonna use this guy. This one is a cluster hinge ring. This can be used for your daith and it can also be used for your septum, but obviously we're working with ear today, so I'm gonna be using it for the daith. And I believe this one is sharp enough, but I think just so I don't stab the ear and it takes me forever, I'm just gonna go ahead and use one of the needles just to make my life easier. And since it is a more difficult piercing to put in, I'm gonna just have to bend it a little bit just so it goes through. And here we go, we're gonna pierce it through. So this is the second piece. I don't know if you guys could tell, but there's a cluster all round opal beads, kind of matches the centerpiece. So there's a theme we're going with here, as you guys can tell. So that's piece number 2. Next thing I'm gonna do, since we're working top down, I'm gonna go ahead and continue the middle section, and I'm gonna add a hinge ring to the center of the ear. This one's a seamless hinge ring. There's seamless opal going all the way across. This is a pretty new piece. I think it looks really cool. It's very different than the rest of them. For this one, we're gonna go ahead and pierce the conch. I'm gonna go straight into it, come out the other end. We're gonna go ahead and put this piece through here. By the way, the size for the conch, I normally use a 3/8. This is a standard size ear. So the 3/8, which is a 10mm, usually fits really snug and really perfect on most ears. So if you're looking to get a conch ring, I think 3/8 is usually the most popular size to go with, but it all depends on the location of the piercing. So obviously go get your ear measured, make sure the piercer gives you the right size. Cool. Next piece, I'm gonna be using a Opal Trinity. As you guys can tell here, 3 tiny opals combined into one piece, gives you like a triangular effect. When I'm using a Trinity on the ear, I usually try to put it against the certain part of the ear that usually matches that shape. So tragus is triangular shaped, and I feel like the Trinity always looks good there. It's almost like it's meant for it, if you guys could tell here. The Trinity shape, like the side that's straight, is aligned with the tragus here, and then the sharp edges of the Trinity also match the triangular shaped part of the tragus. So I feel like it's almost a perfect fit. So that's that. So the center part is now complete. I also bought 2 additional flowers because lately I've been experimenting with having like a conch ring and then having 2 studs above each other, almost creating like a division effect. So I'm gonna add 2 flowers on top of each conch ring because I feel like they are small enough and they are really cute enough for it to look really nice stacked on top of each other with a ring. So we're gonna be doing that. Normally, all the studs would come with a backing. These are just pins, these are just the tops. So they would also come with an additional backing. When you purchase it from our website, it does come as a full piece, or you can just buy the top and combine the two and, you know, pick whatever size you want. But for the most part, it does need a back piece. This is not just an earring. I've had people buy in the past and they're like, this is too short to go in my ear. And I was like, well, you have half of what you need. So here's what we have so far. 2 flowers, 1 conch ring. I feel like it's really cool. It's like it creates like a division sign. And then, like I said, the tragus matches the shape of the tragus as well. So this is what we have so far. And we have 2 of the same piece of jewelry. We have a fixed bead ring. This is made of surgical steel. The rest of the pieces here you saw were made out of titanium. This is the only surgical steel piece I'm using today. I have the same thing in a 3/8, which is this size. And I also have one in a 5/16, which is slightly smaller. The reason I chose 2 different sizes is because usually when I like to put hoops on the lobes, I like to use I would say the biggest size hoop on the very bottom, and I like to go smaller and smaller as I go up because you have the longest one on the bottom because your neck has the longest on the bottom here, and as you go up, you kind of want a taper effect going up. It just creates a very beautiful like crescendo effect going all the way up. So I just love the way that looks, and that's kind of what I'm gonna go with here. So first we'll start with the 3/8. We'll put that on the very bottom. We'll go ahead and pierce the ear, the very first lobes. 3, 2, 1. Almost hurts me piercing them. Fucking weird. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and put the first one in through the lobe. Beautiful. You normally don't want to get pierced with a circle or a round or hoop jewelry because for some reason the body just doesn't like it. It doesn't heal right with it, so I usually don't like recommending hoops as a first piercing. Lobes, for some reason, they work a lot of times, but not always. So if you want to take the risk, totally on you at that point. Second thing we're gonna go with is we're gonna add a second lobe slightly above it and slightly next to that as well, right next to it. And push that through. I'm using 16 gauge for both. Most earlobes are 20 gauge, but a lot of times if you've had your lobes for a while, the 16 gauge fits the lobes quite easily. It just takes a small stretch for it to go through and it works just fine. So yeah, these pieces also come in at 20 gauge, so if you want more of like a thinner look, we also have that as well, but this 16, I like the thicker look, especially because all the metal here is a little bit thicker, kind of a little bit on the edgy vibe. So I kind of want to go with something a little bit thicker just because it looks more bold, and that's kind of the look I'm going for here. So, and I also like to turn where the opal balls are pretty much centered with the earlobe. I feel like it looks really cool that way. So as you can tell here, we have the larger one on the bottom where the ball's facing forward, and we have the smaller one right next to that facing forward. So it almost looks like a stud, almost like a floating stud. So I have 3/8, 5/16, both at 16 gauge. Both of these are made out of surgical steel. The rest of the pieces here are made out of titanium, and that is your entire look here. If you want to know what the top 5 earrings are that are going to be trending in 2021, click the video right up here.